Today on the podcast, we'll be discussing the 1965 disaster film Crack in the World, starring Dana Andrews, Janet Scott, and Kieran Moore. It's written by John Manship White and Julian Zimmett and directed by Andrew Martin. Here is the trailer.
Here is where it starts. 3 miles below the surface, as world-famous scientists, leaders of state, generals of the army prepare to challenge the infinite.
We have within our grasp the limitless, clean heat of the inner earth. We can transform all the continents and make a life of plenty for all mankind for the foreseeable future.
They knew only a missile with an atomic warhead could crack the Earth's impenetrable inner core. Would it mean the end of the world or the beginning of a new life for all mankind? Miles under the Earth's surface, a man, his wife, and the man she once loved, living life as if this could be their last. Crack in the world, as Project Inner Space upsets the delicate balance of the Earth core, rips our planet in two, bringing disaster in its wake, destruction, irrational terror, and unbelievable courage.
What if the crack keeps going, right around the world? What happens then?
Where the landmass is split, the oceans will be sucked in. And the colossal pressure generated by the steam will rip the Earth apart and destroy it.
It isn't possible. It's insane. Is there anything that we can do?
Pray.
Daring scientists descend into a 1,000-degree inferno with a live H-bomb in their deadly gamble to save the universe. Disappears when the brutal power of nature's inner force is released. Mankind totters on the brink of its own headlong rush to cataclysmic destruction.
Stop! Train! Stop!
I'll keep recording everything that happens as long as I can.
Sorensen, the whole project is going.
In the trailer, it said they were trying to save the universe, which is not true.
Well, it's a little overzealous, I think.
They are, really trying to sell the premise of the film in that trailer. And this is I would say this is a slow and plodding film.
You know, before when you introduced the podcast, you said the 1965 disaster movie, and I think you could flip those words around to the disastrous 1965 movie.
It is a movie that is disastrous in the amount of exposition that they have to continue dumping on the audience to make sure that you're following along with what's happening, because it's I took a note that I'm like, oh yeah, this movie doesn't get too jargony, and then right after I took that note, it went right into a jargon heavy spot replete with maps, gesticulation, over explanation, and action.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was watching this movie and I texted you actually probably in the first 20 minutes, and I said, "Yeah, movie's pretty good."
Yeah,
and that text sealed my fate because right after that, oh my God, so many men in suits talking about things and pointing at maps for so long.
And I take the blame for this because I saw the trailer, not that trailer. It was the trailer on the streaming service I was watching it on, and I'm like, crack in the world seems like a cool idea.
Yeah.
Some scientists are going to tap into geothermal energy, get under the Earth's crust, and bring that geothermal energy up to the surface where it doesn't need to be, because I guess it's, that's geothermal's kind of wherever it is by volcanoes and things like that around the planet. And so they're going to like inorganically harvest this energy. But then they accidentally set up about this cataclysmic event that's going to split the Earth into two. I thought it was a cool premise. It sounded like a cool premise.
And I'm down to watch these types of movies. I thought I didn't read a lot about the movie before I started watching it, but as it started, I thought, oh, I could get into this.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's it seems so not thought out, though, the plan.
Yeah.
Where it's like, everybody who comes to the initial meeting, they're like, well, are you sure you should do this? And he's like, yeah, of course. I'm 100% on this. And then it's like, whoops, like immediately he's like, I shouldn't have done that, And
he's talking to like the UN of scientists.
Correct.
They're like, yeah, we'll give you permission to send a nuclear warhead to the what amounts to the center of the Earth.
Yes.
Before we really get into breaking this film down, Adam, do you like disaster movies? And I'm thinking, what is that, 2012, The Day After Tomorrow. I've got a few of them on here. Even like Dante's Peak, Volcano, those kinds of movies. Do you like those?
When they were big, I remember going to a lot of those movies. Like I saw Armageddon and Deep Impact, and I saw a lot of those movies in the theater. But I was also a much younger man, and
right.
I could see why they were fun, but I avoid them like the plague now. It's not something that I seek out. But I'm not against them. But, something about this movie, it felt, it's a 1965 movie. It felt like it should have been a 1950 movie.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's scientists, it's big brain scientists, and the lady who loves them both. And it just smacked of the 1950s.
And I thought it would be like a giant bug should appear, right? It should be like, there should be a giant lava scorpion that comes out.
I was hoping and praying.
I might have made the movie a little better. I don't know.
100%.
We're going to miss some details on this. We can kind of break this down. When I say exposition dump, this movie begins with a bunch of scientists crowding around Janet Scott, and they're just like, so what's going on? What is happening? Do you tell us what you guys are doing down there? And then she's like, well, blah, 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 geothermal energy, blah, 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 nuclear missile. Really just like, explaining everything that they're doing. And then we meet Dana Andrews, who's this aging scientist who he has cancer, or he's been exposed to radiation. He has like a burn on his hand, and
Yes, it's like a rash or a burn on his hand, and he's got it in between these two cancer reducers. I don't know what they are, but it starts with that, and he gets bad fast.
Really,
really.
And
fast.
I want to talk about that too.
Me too. Yeah.
Because he's like, my doctor's been screening me or whatever, and it's just like this piece of science fiction technology that doesn't exist, and you almost like when they turn it on, you'd expect to hear just like a whoop, 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 like just a sci-fi noise. He's like, all better today. So we have that, and then they begin to talk about the plan, which is to send a nuclear bomb to tap into geothermal energy, and they do it.
Yeah, they have a tunnel that's all the way to the outer core of the
center of the Earth.
The center of the Earth.
Yeah. And
it's a missile that's going to shoot. They're going to attach a nuclear warhead to it, and they're going to send that to the center of the Earth. Yes.
Yeah. And they're even like, oh yeah, you're so confident that you already had the missile ready to go. And he's like, but you probably also noticed that the warhead is not attached. And they're like, oh, and that's like him. They're showing that he's much smarter than they are.
Yes,
and they're like, all right, send your missile. And then there's a lot of like conversations between him and London. where they're like, no, we want you to hold on and not do this. And then they kind of like go back and forth. So they're setting up this kind of like, it's like they're trying to show us, oh, this is how science works. This is how these organizations get funded, and then they still have this bureaucratic structure, and he's running into it, and he's Mr. Smart Guy. He's making the right decision. And then we meet Kieran Moore, who shows up, and he's like,
Dr. Ted Rampion.
Yes, Rampion. Yeah, and they say it like 100 times in the movie. But yeah, he shows up and he's like, you can't do this. He screams at him at one point, and he says, you want to play God? He's shooting. God, is that what God does? I don't like. God shoots nuclear missiles into the core of the Earth.
My question is, and maybe you could help me with this. Where are they from? Because
London.
Their accents are so it's so vague.
Yeah,
they just have actor's voice.
Yes.
Like they don't talk like normal people at all.
Yeah, everything is very stilted, and I wasn't sure when to bring it up, but now's a great time. Kieran Moore is a terrible actor. He is as Rampion. He is, and I will play a scene of beautiful dialogue. Not really, that's sarcasm. Just some of pretty atrocious in the film. It comes a little later, so I'll play it in a few moments. But just kind of getting through the plot, they eventually shoot this missile down into the core. They're like, success. I also want to bring up that right after they're successful, Dana Andrews is in his bunker. They're like in an underground facility getting all of this to work because they have the missile there, and it's like a compound, their science compound. Janet Scott like embraces Dana Andrews, and she's like, oh, like, I love you, and he's like, I love you too, and she's like, oh, and for the rest of my life, and hugs him, and doesn't know that he has like a terminal illness. And when she hugs him, he just like, you can see his face over her shoulder, and he's just like looking terrified, like just dead ahead. And it cracked me up because it's like, oh yeah, not for the rest. I mean, for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, maybe not mine. But yeah, there's like, initially there's a lot of, it's very like scientific skepticism in the beginning of this movie. Just like, scientists are going to be the end of us. And so there's a lot of like, that fear is definitely, and probably a 1960s thing, I think, makes sense, because I guess you have Cold War elements, people afraid of nuclear weaponry and the damage it can do,
and the giant ants it can produce,
and the giant lava scorpions that it will definitely emerge, but never do. So yeah,
will it?
Well, again, this movie should have just done it. I don't know why they didn't. So yeah, so it cracks the world. It does what the movie's title tells us it's going to do, and it creates this enormous fissure that starts to split the world in half. Now, London, whoever London is, the government maybe, they keep calling over to London, and London, they're telling them what they can and can't do. In their infinite wisdom, they're like the same guys who are going to destroy the Earth because they've created this crack that's going to crack in the world. We're going to also task them with solving the problem, which to me seems like a very bad idea. Don't give the job to save humanity to the people that willfully and negligently shot a nuclear missile into the core of the Earth. And so I would say the middle chunk of the movie is them trying to create this idea of how they're going to save the planet. And as like
an hour.
Yeah,
it's an hour.
Yeah, so the first main like action moment happens 50 minutes into the film. I checked.
Wow.
And that's when they are fitting their decision. What they decide to do is to get another nuclear missile or some kind of nuclear payload, and they're going to. It's a little fuzzy here, but the fissure is coming toward an island, and they're going to drop some kind of. I don't know if it's a hydrogen bomb or they were going to use hydrogen to.
I think it was a hydrogen
to stop the fissure from moving because it's moving at a rapid pace. And so there's Kieran Moore, and then he's got like a little
Steel,
yes. So, but he's got like a little task force, and they're wearing like spaceman suits. I thought all of this was cool. This is all very like neat.
That part of it I like too, yeah.
Even when they're underwater in the sub, so there's this whole scene where they're in a sub under the water, taking pictures of the fissure to get the evidence. So this is a very science-heavy movie.
But things were moving fast. Like he said, Steele, you come with me, and they were on a sub underwater. Yeah. Like it felt like a half hour later. Like
it was like and more exposition as they went. They're like, so do you know what geothermal energy is and what it could do for humanity? He's like, yes, well, no. So explain it to me. So there's that whole scene, and then it gets to where they're going to actually go through with this plan of trying to stop the fissure, and so there's some neat things in there because they've got there's like maybe it's the volcano itself. I wasn't really following there, but
there's a lot of that for me too.
Where they're going to drop this like payload into the lava, and one of the guys slips, and this delightful little miniature falls into the lava, and this what is that, the Wilhelm scream as he falls and burns in the lava pit. That whole scene for me was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And when I point out like the submarine, it's like it's neat because they eventually get this little Land Rover too that they're driving around in, and all of the vehicles for whatever reason are really neat little. There's a cool helicopter that's just kind of like the what is it? Is that called a chassis?
Maybe.
Like it's just like the bare bones of like the helicopter that's kind of flying around, so that's pretty neat. The submarine's cool, the Land Rover they eventually get. So there's like some cool vehicle stuff going on here, but everything else is very like exposition heavy as it's going. Yes,
if they had a better story that went along with the cool set pieces, it would have been a better movie for sure, yes.
So they
I need to back up because
go ahead.
There's something about this movie that really kind of and maybe it's because I wasn't very interested in the meat of what they were trying to do in the movie. So
You're telling me you don't have an extreme interest in geothermal energy?
Correct. So I think I got I kind of took an alternate route while watching this movie, and it started when the lady, her name was Dr. Maggie Sorensen.
Yeah, Janet Scott.
Yes.
Yep.
She and her husband are in their bunker like the night before they're going to drop the missile or whatever, and
this is the first missile, right?
Yes, the first missile into the center of the Earth.
Missile heavy movie.
Yep. And she and him are kind of laying on separate pieces of furniture, getting ready for bed, and she comes over and makes a play for a kiss to the doctor. Steven Sorensen.
Yeah.
And he kind of he doesn't want her advances as far as making whoopee, I guess.
Right.
And it's explained that he's got a terminal illness, but this is where my mind went. This movie is about dropping a phallic missile into the middle of the Earth.
Yes.
He says, "No, I don't want any of your loving."
Okay.
And then at one point, they're trying to drop this bulky phallic missile into a cavern. And then another man kind of comes into the fray, and she kind of loves him too.
Kieran Moore.
I felt like there was sort of an erectile dysfunction / cuckold.
Oh my! I didn't even think about that at all. Yeah,
I mean, the whole thing is they're trying to blast the middle of the Earth, and it's all these scientists and the woman, the woman Jeanette Scott in the movie. She's fine, but she's got the issue of being.
This is an erectile dysfunction allegory.
She's one of these actresses at the time where she doesn't have a real part to play in the movie. She's the prize for the two men, and it's bullshit in that regard. But it just that's all I could think of through the rest of the movie was
we are early enough on in this podcast, this episode, the series of episodes that we'll be doing. This is probably going to come up a lot. I mean, this is the era these movies were made are not going to be they have no like feminist qualities.
Yeah.
Right. Or at least there's no female empowerment present in these movies. And it's two white males. I guess we already have inherent problems talking, just us having a discussion about these things. But yeah, so I mean, even the horror movies we've reviewed on the other podcast, and this one, a lot of the time when they're old, like in the 60s, it's a lot of, this sort of a damsel in distress. I will say it's nice that she is she's an intelligent science or a scientist.
I'll agree with that, yeah.
But not given anything to do. And her motivation are two love interests. This is like, does not pass the Bechdel test, even remotely. There's another female character who's an Asian woman, and her line of dialogue is about Dana Andrews' science character. So she's also just talking about another man. So like, right. Female characters are just not given enough. And I think we're probably going to see a lot, probably enough of that in some the films we review. Hopefully we can find some ones though from the 50s and 60s that aren't this, that don't this kind of stereotyping and but I think what you're touching on is this erectile dysfunction allegory. I didn't even think about that. That is incredible.
It's all I could think about after he pushed her away, and then it was just a lot of dropping phallic things into holes.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of the dialogue. It's like, so we're going to take this shaft and put it down into this.
A lot of dialogue.
So there's a lot, and cannot be intentional. I mean, the writer was just like, I like just write something, and then you look back and be like, oh my God, I wrote a whole script based on this problem I have.
This is what red-blooded Americans want to watch.
Oh no! Red-blooded Americans. We've got a fair amount of that. I think just embodied in Kieran Moore. He's like the savior guy who's going to go, and he's like the like Buck Rogers.
Shirt sleeves are rolled up all the time. Yep.
And they start to rip off as the movie goes on, and he gets into more trouble. So he's like, the strapping young.
Another thing is they didn't, I understood that he had a disease of some sort. Steven Sorensen, the doctor, the main guy, but they didn't give me enough heads up. Because one of the next scenes, like he's kind of got a rash on his hand in one scene. Like the next scene, he's wearing sunglasses inside during a meeting.
Yes.
And I'm like, is he just going for a cool look?
Yeah.
And I still didn't know why he was really wearing sunglasses.
So as they're moving on, because they go through with this plan, and let me I'm going to look up this line of dialogue. I know I have it. I wrote it down. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can pull. I'm really close to it right now, so let me see. Okay, so this is Dana Andrews and Kieran Moore are just about to, and it's actually so it's two scenes. Dana Andrews and Kieran Moore they've developed the idea of how to stop the fissure that they've created. So we're going to go from that scene right over to Kieran Moore talking to his guys about their plan. Okay, so it's going to start kind of right here. With Dana Andrews and Kieran Moore discussing. And I have to put this up in the microphone, so probably not extreme audio clarity.
Find a spot in the path of the crack with sufficient hydrogen and set off an explosion there. We could stop it cold.
Then when the crack gets there, it stops.
Where do you figure I'm blowing this hole?
A volcanic island on the Macedo Trench, Tucumor. It's directly in the path of the crack. If we can start Tucumor erupting before the crack gets there, we stand a chance of stopping it.
Yeah, but how do you start up a volcano?
With a nuclear bomb.
Another bomb?
Now, this is where your job comes in. We have to shield the bomb against heat to avoid premature explosion.
What kind of heat?
Molten lava.
How long does the shield have to hold up?
While the bomb is sinking below the lava, about 45 minutes.
25. 30 tops.
Can you give me 35?
I'll try, but I'd hate to be the guy holding the stopwatch. How are you going to place the bomb?
By hand.
You mean somebody's going down inside a volcano and drop this thing?
It'll be a team of volunteers.
You're crazy. Have you got a better idea? Any of you?
Now, this is what we'll do.
That really showcases where Kieran Moore is coming from in that movie. He goes from, I think, a level 2 to level 12 in acting, or of just over exaggeration, real quick. He is what do you think I'm talking about? I mean, just explodes. It's just, and there's so much of that in this movie where once we start to follow just Kieran Moore, it turns into like an action film, because they find out that the hydrogen bomb, or the warhead that they use to trigger hydrogen under the
second one, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yep.
So they think it works immediately, and then it does not work. So they find out, oh no, but now the fissure has changed course and doubled speed. Again, London gave the wrong people the job. Okay, because they created the problem, and then by trying to solve it, they doubled the speed of the fissure, and the movie doesn't even end well. Like, for them to be like, oh yeah, good job, guys. But Kieran Moore, the third act of the film, Kieran Moore, Janet Scott, and a couple other people are driving around just following the fissure. It turns into Twister with Bill Paxton. Is that Bill Paxton? Yeah, Bill Paxton.
Yes.
Where they're just following like a tornado around, and then it's like they're throwing themselves in harm's way. But it's not like they have like a third bomb that they're going to use to stop the fissure. They're just driving around watching it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were trying to do. I mean, there's the scene with the train where they tried to stop the people on the train.
And they don't.
They don't at all.
And
yeah.
Great, I thought great miniature effect.
I thought it was good too.
But my wife and I both, as soon as that happens, they're watching this train, and they've been trying to flag it down because it's going into this sector that's going to cross paths with the fissure. And they are horrified when the fissure creates a landslide from a mountain that's nearby where the train is crossing, and it just takes the train out, and there's like 400 people on that train.
Yeah.
And so you just watch everybody die. It's not showed in like graphic detail, but the train just flips over. Nobody's making it out
the
alive.
intent of the movie is to show you that so many lives have been lost, and they're driving around watching.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, both my wife and I are like, our mouths were open. We're just like, oh, there were like hundreds of people on that train, and they're just dead now.
From all of these scientists' incompetence.
Yes, yeah, because they created the problem, can't solve the problem, made the problem worse.
You know, in a movie like Armageddon, for instance, just because it's, pretty popular, a lot of people have seen it. The scientists in that movie were reacting to something that's going to be a world killer.
Right.
So they're putting a team together to try to stop something that's on its way to Earth that's going to kill us all.
Yeah.
This movie, they didn't have to do this.
No, they did not.
They didn't have to do any of this. They started it, made it worse.
Yeah. I guess the only thing you could lend them credit for is that if they hadn't dropped the second bomb, then the Earth, it would have cracked the world.
Well, yeah, but it was cracking the world faster with the second bomb.
Right, but the second bomb only took created a moon, as he said, Dana Andrews, because they go to rescue him because he's locked himself down in the compound, or he's just left himself down in the compound. And as you pointed out, I thought it was hilarious. Janet Scott, at one point, she's just like, they get a call because Dan Andrews is getting much worse. And she's like, I just didn't even know he had like any symptoms. And it like cuts to Dana Andrews has, like you're saying, big black sunglasses on. Both of his hands are bandaged. He looks like a mummy.
He's got his arm in a sling.
Yeah. And he's like, no, everything's fine.
He's
it's like
progressively getting more elderly looking sweaters to wear. And they don't do a good job with the passage of time in this movie. So it looks like it's a week.
Yeah.
Like, he goes from having a rash on his hand to being 80 years old and on the precipice of death in like 6-7 days.
Yeah. And but that's everything in this movie, right? So the fissure's moving too fast. The characters are, I mean, whatever character development there really is. It's not, it is what it is. And that's really why I only started focusing on, I'm like, man, Kieran Moore is really bad in this. And I don't know if he has another movie where he's got like his Gregory Peck or something from To Kill a Mockingbird, at that moment.
I don't know if he has another movie.
So let me see. I've got Kieran Moore's not great here in my notes. The train accident was insane. Dana Andrews is down in his compound. Kieran Moore and Janet Scott go to rescue him, kind of, but he did it himself, kind of, or he was alone down there of his own volition. So they go and
the
try
base
to,
is going to be destroyed.
Yes, because it's on the path of like the fissure. And so they go to try to convince him to come out of there. He tricks them, locks himself inside.
Yeah, there's a big blast door. He kind of shuts that and says, "Get out and save yourself."
Yeah. I think because he must have been like, "Oh, I'm going to die." I mean, that must have been the character motivation. I'm going to die anyway.
Yep.
So then the compound crumbles. Kieran Moore, Janet Scott get out of there, and then you find that, because they had referenced it earlier, that with the crack now, because it's been diverted, it's going to take a 20,000 mile chunk of the Earth off. And Dana Andrews is like, "Have you ever seen a moon be created?" So it created. And it's the craziest shot at the end of the movie is that Kieran Moore and Janet Scott they get out of the compound and they're standing outside, and you just watch a chunk of the Earth float away into the atmosphere. And then the movie ends.
Well, they're standing amidst this hellscape that, used to have this giant chunk of Earth on it. And things are like hot too, right?
Yeah.
And just for like a little bit of Disney zest at the end, they have a chipmunk crawl out of a hole and they kind of look at it. And I thought, that thing is incinerated. How are they not incinerated?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're around molten lava. So it's, because that's where the story ends. And I was going to add some ways I felt about that, but I'll leave it for the last segment. What we'll do now, anything we missed as far as the plot goes?
I'm sure I missed a lot. There's a lot of this movie that I watched the whole thing, but there were parts I just checked out because there was so much exposition and pointing at maps. It was a lot of that.
Oh, there was a pretty funny scene of Kieran Moore explaining to the UN of scientists, and they literally have the map out, and they're kind of following a line around the map of how it's going to crack the Earth in half. And it's just funny because it's so deliberate and slow. He's like, it's moving from here to right over here. Say, come back around over here. And it's so like deliberate that there's no way for that not to be hilarious. Like, it's just
we got to get to 90 minutes.
Yeah,
slower.
Fill it in. More exposition. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. And then when we return, I'm going to put Adam through a trivia game so we can learn, so the audience and yourself can learn a little bit more about this film, because I did some research this morning. So I assume that'll be more interesting than the film. So, all right, we will be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Film Can. I'm your host Josh. I'm sitting here with my co-host Adam.
Hey.
And for this next segment, I have put together a fun trivia game. I like that I say fun.
Yeah.
To teach you and the audience a thing or two about this movie. Again, I need to reword that because it sounds like I know everything about this. Like, I'm teaching you guys a thing or two.
Of the movie The Crack in the Earth.
Yes, yeah, or Crack the Earth, the power metal album. So, Adam, are you up for the challenge?
Yes.
All right. Let's go. Question 1. Of course, this is a 5-question multiple-choice trivia game, which features trivia about the 1965 film Crack in the World. So, question 1. Star Dana Andrews appeared in 8 films in 1965.
Wow.
Which of the following was not one of those films? A. Battle of the Bulge. B. The Loved One. C. Spy in Your Eye. Or D. The Cincinnati Kid.
I know he was in Battle of the Bulge. I'm going to say Spy in Your Eye.
Yeah, Spy in Your Eye.
Yeah, I'm going to say Spy in Your Eye.
Adam, that is incorrect. Oh. If it helps, I don't have a prize this time, so.
Oh, all right.
This is merely for your own, just to boost your confidence if you win.
All right. One wrong.
It is
confidence boost.
It was D, The Cincinnati Kid, that featured Steve McQueen. Now, just a small piece of trivia: the other 3 films, The Battle of the Bulge, The Loved One, and Spy in Your Eye, Dana Andrews played some kind of military personnel. So Colonel Pritchard in Battle of the Bulge, General Brinkman in The Loved One, and Colonel Lancaster in Spy in Your Eye. So he was kind of cast in science and military roles.
Okay.
Question 2. This movie was shot in what country? A. Mexico. B, Spain, C, Brazil, or D, the United States?
I'm going to guess it was the United States.
Adam, that's incorrect. Spain.
Oh, wow.
It was actually shot in Madrid for lower production costs. Capitalism.
A nice vacation spot, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they had a good time.
Yeah.
Question 3, true or false? This movie was reviewed poorly by critics.
Oh, well. I mean, obviously, I'm supposed to say true, but I'm going to guess that it probably did buku at the box office, and it did great. So I'm going to say false, or I think it did well.
With critics?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying this movie was reviewed poorly by critics. You're saying that's false, that
Yes.
it was reviewed well.
Yes.
So the answer is... okay, the answer is... okay, now I'm confused. The answer is true. Well, no, the answer is false, because it was reviewed really well by critics.
Yeah, that's the thing I guessed, but I can't understand why.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it was from even some modern critics. It was, this is a science-heavy film, but there's enough in here to be entertaining and engaging. And
if they say so,
I don't agree. Hello. Okay, there you go. Question 4. Who was the technical advisor for this film? A, the director's brother. B, the director's assistant. C, the director's neighbor. Or D, the director's old high school teacher.
I have no idea. So I'm going to concoct a story about how his geology teacher was a big impact on him in high school, and he got him to help him. So D.
Adam, that's incorrect.
Oh,
maybe it
I'm
just
never going to win this non-existent prize.
Maybe it just shows how miserable this film is. It was C. Funny you say a geology teacher. It was the director's neighbor who was a geologist.
Oh, all right. That's what I meant.
For people at home,
I thought his high school teacher was his neighbor.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be really awesome.
Hey, can you help me out with this movie? What's it called? It doesn't matter.
Well, I can't call in sick to school. That's great.
All right, question 5. Adam, if you get this one right, you have 1 out of 5.
That's great.
All right, true or false? Actress Janet Scott gave up her acting career when she married singer Mel Torme. Is it Torme?
Torme, yeah.
Okay, I've never said it out loud. Yes, true or false?
Don't say it 3 times. So, Janet Scott, your question is, Janet Scott, was she married to Mel Torme?
Did she give up her acting career after she married Mel Torme?
Oh, she did marry. Okay, well.
Yeah. Oh, they got married.
65. That doesn't tell me anything. I'm going to say true.
Adam, that is true. You got 1 out of 5.
I think I got 2 out of 5 because I said false on when how it did with credit.
You got 2 out of 5. So you're keeping track.
Yeah.
The points matter. So her last movie was Bikini Paradise in 1967. And then her third husband didn't even know she was an actress, apparently, according to...
Bikini Paradise. So did she play like a civil rights attorney or something?
No.
No?
There's no way.
All right.
It was probably something borderline dehumanizing and terrible. And unfortunately, probably directed by Roger Corman.
That would actually make it better.
All right, Adam, you got 2 out of 5 on the Film Can trivia game. Congratulations.
Well.
All congratulations are in order. So... congratulations.
Thank you.
2 out of 5. Mr. 2 out of 5. I think you did well on the previous episode. I think you got 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
And you won a Mooch. A Mooch Goes to Hollywood
yeah,
DVD.
Yeah.
So,
and that movie was great, by the way.
I didn't tell you because I hadn't seen it, but I'm glad to hear it. I mean, you got to have fun when there's a dog going to Hollywood.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great time.
Yeah. Adventures to be had.
Adventures to be had. Dog food to eat. So we're just we're back. We're actually talking about our likes and dislikes. we'll just kind of talk about what we thought worked, what didn't work, and then see if we can if we would recommend this to modern audiences. This vintage film we've got here. So with the likes, Adam, do you want to kick us off with what you liked about this film? Was there anything you liked about this movie?
I thought that the set pieces when they were like you were talking about, as far as the vehicles and some of the base design, and I like the fact that it was called Project Inner Space, I believe.
Yeah, Inner Space.
I don't know if the 1980s movie with Martin Short and Dennis Quaid took a cue from that or not, but. Yeah, I mean, that stuff was cool. There was far too much exposition. No, that's the other part. So I liked those aspects. The other aspect I liked, and if you ever watch this movie, definitely watch it with this in mind. Think about it from the standpoint of of Dana Andrews' character and how he may be having issues with ED. And it's a completely new movie. It's a really interesting and funny way to watch this movie, but even that gets old.
It would. I almost feel like it needs a rewatch now, just looking at it through that lens, because I'm sure there's enough there. Because he's also got Kieran Moore over there, who's what is it, virility?
Oh, he's thrusting himself into every scene.
Yeah. Who needs to chew the scenery when you can thrust the scenery? Kieran Moore, everybody. So I mean, just to kind of mirror what you were talking about, the likes were, I like the set pieces. I like these movies are always great for practical effects. I mean, not always great, but because there were some like really crappy shots with like almost I assume like some kind of early green screen, where they were the Fisher was in the background and Kieran Moore and Janet Scott were in the foreground, and it just looked, there was like the edge around them, like as like people on the screen. You could just see where it's kind of like blurry and chunky. But the train scene was cool. Like I said, the little submarine. I like the little. It's like a adventure film kind of, with like the little set pieces and things.
Not to cut you off, there was the scene when they were in the Jeep and they were kind of driving alongside of the train.
Yeah.
It made me want to watch Indiana Jones, which isn't great, as far as me saying, oh, I'm watching this movie, it makes me want to watch another movie. But yes, it did definitely have an adventure quality, yes.
Yeah, which is, I mean, if they would have just held on to that, I think. But yeah, and then I can't really think of much else outside of that, because and I guess I'll just jump right into dislikes. This movie was just like dragging along. I got out of my chair at one point, was just kind of standing in the living room, looking at the television, like, oh, any moment now something's gonna happen. But oddly enough, there was a lot happening. It just there was maybe not enough. It seems like there should be gravity applied to it too, with just kind of like the dire straits they're in. But yeah, it just, I don't know, it just felt very like almost boring, I guess. It was just like a very kind of boring plodding watch that I just didn't like too much. And the acting was not great. There wasn't an actor in there where I was like, oh, he's a good actor. Like that never crossed my mind. It was a lot of just like hamming it up, bad theater acting. And Kieran Moore, I have to say, was just awful. He was really bad. So,
yeah, it drug so long. It was to the point where I feel like when I watch movies, especially movies for a podcast like this, I try to pay close attention. This movie could not really hold my attention.
Yeah.
There were so much explaining, real and or fake scientific things, and it was it was very much from a different era. Even like I said, it's 1960. This movie came out 2 years after the last movie we watched.
Yep. Yeah,
and I guess that doesn't pertain to anything, but
I mean, I think it looks much worse than the previous film we reviewed. Yeah, the Haunted Palace. This looks much worse than that, and it's 2 years later.
Yeah, so. It just drug, and it was. It was a boring movie, and towards the end, when they were making their escape, I was just counting down the minutes of when it was going to be over.
Yeah. That's a great way. That's what it should. Yeah, it should have been called something like that. Just like the minutes, or just never ending. Yeah. What I was gonna say is, so let me get the what is it? John Manship White was the writer. Let me double check that. Yeah, John Manship White. There were lots of moments where I was like, oh, he wrote this, and then it came time to film it, and they're like, oh, we have to film this. Like everybody, you know what I mean? Like everybody okayed the script, and it was like, yeah, this sounds cool. This is like something they must be concerned about, or it must be something in the whatever the cultural zeitgeist was at the time. And they were like, okay, cool. Love the script. Let's move it on. We've got the actors we need. And then it was just like, oh, we have to show like a fissure, like moving at an alarming rate. And like, this is impossible. Like we can't do this. So yeah, there were just a lot of scenes where it was like, ooh, they cut away. So you kind of just see reaction shots, and they're like, oh my God, the fissure is getting bigger. And he just like points off screen, and it's like, okay, well, that's not.
Have you ever seen the movie, The Andromeda Strain?
I have not, no.
This movie reminded me a lot of that movie.
Yeah.
And I've never read the novel by Michael Crichton, but long story short, there's a disease, a mysterious disease, and there's these scientists underground trying to figure out how to, solve the issue of this disease. And it's a very long movie, and it just drags the same way.
Yeah.
Where technically it's a really good movie if you like that kind of thing,
Yeah.
but it just, much like this movie, it does not hold my attention when there's just so much scientific jargon involved.
Yeah, it's like, and it's not helped by jargon on top of exposition,
and it's not paced well.
Yeah, the pacing is just all over the place. It seems like.
And another thing about the movie it was just a little scene, but I thought it was a cute scene, and it was still in the early stages of the movie where I thought, oh, I could really get into this. The Dana Andrews character, he's walking down a hallway, and he sees this lanky scientist, and he looks like Beaker from the Muppet Show, and he's like, oh, we can't make people think that we're mad scientists, and he's slicking back his wild hair, and he takes his glasses off and puts them in his pocket, and it was just kind of this funny little scene, but then that was it. I mean, they didn't do any other like cute little things like that, and it would have made the Dana Andrews character more interesting. Right,
yeah, because that's kind of almost like it's like a little insightful and kind of clever. It's like, oh yeah, that the average viewer wouldn't think about that. Like, oh yeah, I guess they don't want to give off this impression. However, we know these people as mad scientists who have sent a nuclear missile to the core of the Earth and then made it much worse with the second missile. So it's like, well,
and being that it came out in '65, I thought, oh, they're going to try to dispel this whole we're scientists and we're going to save the world and we're going to use all this jargon. And I'm like, oh, it kind of deflated that for me. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a more clever way to approach a 1950 science movie. And I was absolutely wrong. Because they went right back to every tropey thing that they did in those 50s movies that made them so laborious.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't even think about that. That we'll probably catch a lot of that too on the podcast. A lot of, because, I guess it would be like they and them and all of those movies. There's probably going to be a fair amount of trying to rationalize and explain whatever the phenomenon is that's happening on screen. Oh, that does not make me excited.
As I was watching this movie, I thought it would be I could see this being covered by Mystery Science Theater. Just because the characters are so dry and stilted, and I thought, oh, this movie was made to be made fun of.
Yeah. So what do you think about recommending? Do you think you could take this vintage film and recommend it to a modern audience?
I wouldn't recommend this movie to anybody.
All right, and for the reasons stated, I suppose.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I got, so at that 50-minute mark, I was like, okay, the first piece of action is happening, and it was right then I was like, I regret making this choice. And I'm like, should we from now on, should we use like a random select? Should we use
I think so.
Random movie selection? Should we do that right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we do a random movie? Okay, let me look it up.
Can we do a best out of 3?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, best. Yeah, see which of the three.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull up the random movie recommender.
Like in a meta way, you could have named this movie Slog, and then you would have thought, oh, there's a creature that they find in the middle of the earth called Slog, but not really. It's just what the movie does. It slogs along.
How much you want to bet one of the recommended movies is going to be called Slog, and we're going to have to watch it?
Well, then I'll win my prize, then, won't I?
Let me see where my give me 1 second here. Let me see. Yeah, because I'm even trying to think of like moments in the film too, just to add on while I'm looking for this. Think of moments like you were talking about, like clever little funny things, and it's just not happening. It's just not happening in this movie.
No, they tried too hard to make the love triangle a major point, and it was as boring as everything else in the movie. It just. Yeah, I mean, it would have, See,
I didn't even catch that there was a love triangle. That didn't cross my mind.
Yeah,
that
she fixed his socks. At one point, he had holes in his socks, and she's like, "Oh, I'll fix your socks," but that's the guy that she wasn't supposed to be in love with.
There was a scene where Janice got sent home with like an older lady with like an older brunette, and was like, "Oh, you can go home now. I'm going to be with him, the scientist, Dan Andrews," and I thought that was his wife.
No.
And so I was like, whoa, like, then who was that lady? Like, I don't know. It'll never be answered because I'm not going back.
It's from a different time, so the whole aspect of Dana Andrews acting macho and not telling his wife about his illness. I mean, there could have been so much more delved into if she was also worried for her husband, but also had feelings for the bad actor guy. But yeah, just both guys were uber macho, and we're going to save the world with our brains. And it's just, yeah.
All right, so should I do the first film that pops up after I entered my filters, or should we just start now and I'll click?
I think we should. If you want to hit the randomizer, I'll write them down and we can choose
best out of three. Okay.
Yep.
So the first movie.
Okay.
And I went from 1900 until 1979.
All right.
Okay. So I guess that hopefully this means that 1979 should encompass all of 1979. All right. The first film, The Gang's All Here. Let's see. This is from 1943.
Okay.
Number two. 1960s Goliath 2, featuring Mickey Mouse.
No. Goliath 2 from what year?
1960.
1960.
And the third choice.
All right.
Viva Las Vegas, 1964, with Elvis Presley and Anne Margaret.
All right. From 1964.
I know where my vote is going.
Mine too.
Viva Las Vegas?
I was going Gangs All Here. All right, so we got to choose between Gangs All Here and Viva Las Vegas. Now, the only reason I pick Gangs All Here is because I don't know who's in the movie, and Viva Las Vegas is actually kind of a popular movie. But
gotcha.
I'd be willing to do it, even though it's got Elvis.
Let's do the Gangs All Here.
Okay. Do we even want to look and see?
No, let's watch it.
All right.
Now, so here's the thing. Do we want to, and I suppose we could talk about this off air, but it might be relevant to anybody listening. If we're recording 2 movies at a time, do we want to pick a second one?
Let's do it.
Okay. So for the second round, so this will be the 4th episode of the Film Can. Let's go. First selection, 1939's Another Thin Man. That's first choice.
I like how we're getting sequels before we see the originals.
Yeah, I don't. This might be the first one.
And that's from what year?
1939. William Powell and Myrna Loy.
Yep.
Okay. Second choice. The Badlanders with Alan Ladd and Ernest Borgnine.
Oh. That's from what year?
1958.
1958. Okay.
Third choice. 1941's Hell's a Poppin'.
Hell's a Poppin'?
That's what that one looks like. I know what my choice is going to be.
All right. Were you thinking the Badlanders?
I was thinking the Badlanders.
Me too.
For the third episode, we're going to do The Gang's All Here. And the fourth episode, we will do the Badlanders with Ernest Borgnine. I didn't catch who was in The Gang's All Here. I'm
not going to research anything before I watch it.
Just jump right in.
Yep.
Yeah, just watch it and see how it goes, and then we will talk about them. So we will talk about The Gang's All Here on the next episode.
And the only thing that would stop us from watching that movie is if it's not streaming in any way.
Yes, in that case, we will have to we will do the same selection process but off air, and then we will just you won't see the Gang's All Here in the podcast stream. You'll see you'll see Goliath 2.
We'll watch it if we can. That's the film can promise.
Should we have should we have to choose from the list of 3 in case that one's not streaming?
I would say that, I mean, I'll go with Viva Las Vegas if that one doesn't work out.
Okay.
And then I would think Hell's a Poppin'. I mean,
the case was not selling me, but don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. So yeah, that's fine. So our first choice then, we'll go with that, and then if not, we'll do our second choice. Yeah. And I'll make sure I take a picture of that before I go.
All right.
All right. So that was a review of 1965's Crack in the World, or Crack the World, or Crack the Earth, or whatever that was. Not entertaining.
No.
Anything you'd like to add, Adam?
Yeah, you could. No, just don't stay away from this movie. And unless you like stilted disaster movies from the 60s that look like they should be from the 50s.
Yeah, let me say this, and I'll make it quick. If you've got a group of friends sitting around and you guys want to watch this would be even this. If you have nothing to do and you've watched every other movie that you own and can stream, if you don't have streaming services, but you own a copy of this, watch it. But only if you have like some friends sitting around and you guys can yuck it up or something.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't even think there's that many funny or engaging moments that would be worthwhile.
No, you'll all find time to do laundry at the same time.
Bring your laundry if you're going to watch this one.